everyone, and welcome back to my monthly horror roundup, where I list off every horror movie coming out in November, quickly tell you what they're about, and where you can watch them. First off, on November 4th, Something in the Dirt comes out on VOD. This is directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, the men behind Spring, Resolution, The Endless, and Moon Knight. Something in the Dirt played earlier this year at Sundance, and is about two neighbors who witness supernatural events in their apartment building, and after deciding to document it for fame, it sends them down a dark rabbit hole. On the same day, Satan's Slaves Communion comes to Shudder. This film is directed by Joko Anwar, my personal favorite Indonesian director, and honestly, one of the most exciting horror directors working today, full stop. He's most recently directed Impedagore and Satan's Slaves, two totally awesome and under-the-radar horror gems. Satan's Slaves Communion is a sequel to Satan's Slaves, and fun fact, it will be the first Indonesian film to be shot with IMAX technology. Satan's Slaves Communion tells the story of a family living in a rundown apartment, who after escaping the terror from their mother that returned from death, learn their new home is an even bigger threat to their lives. By the way, I'll be reviewing Satan's Slaves Communion prior to its Shudder release, so keep your eyes glued to my channel if you don't want to miss that video. Or even simpler, hit the bell icon down below if you don't want to miss any new horror reviews or monthly horror roundups. Okay, self-promotion out of the way, on November 8th, All Jacked Up and Full of Worms comes out on VOD. This played earlier this year at the Fantasia and Fantastic Fest film festivals. And All Jacked Up and Full of Worms follows Roscoe, a seedy motel maintenance man, who after discovering some powerful hallucinogenic worms, meets Benny, and the two fall in love making worms together before embarking on an odyssey of sex and violence. A couple days later, on November 10th, Mandrake comes to Shudder. Mandrake follows probation officer Kathy, who is given the task of rehabilitating notorious killer Bloody Mary Laidlaw back into society after 20 years in jail. Kathy has always believed that every client deserves a shot at redemption, but her beliefs are firmly tested when two children disappear near Mary's farm. 3 days later, on November 13th, Slashback also comes to Shudder. Slashback is a Canadian sci-fi film shot in Nunavut, and is the directorial debut of Inuit director Nyla Anuksuk. Slashback is about Micah and her ragtag group of friends who discover an alien invasion in their tiny Arctic hamlet. Utilizing their makeshift weapons and horror movie knowledge, the aliens realize you don't mess with girls from Pang. On November 16th, The Wonder comes to Netflix. This stars Florence Pugh, and is a psychological thriller described as a tale of two strangers who transform each other's lives in a story of love pitted against evil. 2 days later, on November 18th, The Menu comes to theaters. The Menu is about a young couple who travel to a remote island to eat at an exclusive restaurant run by a celebrity chef who treats his food like conceptual art. And as the couple stay on the island, they learn shocking surprises behind the culinary experience. The Menu stars Anya Taylor-Joy and Nicholas Hoult as the couple, and Ralph Fiennes as the celebrity chef. On November 22nd, Nocebo comes out on VOD. Nocebo stars Eva Green and Mark Strachan. It is from writer Garrett Shanley and director Lorcan Finnegan, the creative team behind both Without Name and Vivarium. And Nocebo is about a fashion designer who is suffering from a mysterious illness that puzzles her doctors and frustrates her husband until help arrives in the form of a Filipino caregiver who uses traditional folk healing to reveal a horrifying truth. On November 22nd as well, Blood Relatives comes out on Shudder. This is written and directed by Noah Segan, who also stars in the film, and Blood Relatives is about a vampire loner whose lifestyle is thrown into disarray when a teenager shows up claiming to be his daughter. After the revelation, the two embark on a road trip across America and decide exactly how they're gonna sink their teeth into family life. A third movie also comes out on November 22nd, and that is Next Exit. This is the directorial debut of Mally Elfman, daughter of famous composer Danny Elfman, and Next Exit's premise is, after humanity confirms the existence of an afterlife, a research scientist launches a study in which volunteers commit painless suicide. On November 23rd, The Nanny comes to select theaters and Amazon Prime. This is a Blumhouse film that won the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance earlier this year, and The Nanny follows an undocumented Senegalese nanny working in Manhattan for an affluent couple. However, as the nanny's past comes to the surface, something unsettling begins to invade her dreams and her reality. And last on my list, on November 24th, Bones and All comes to theaters. Bones and All follows young cannibalistic lovers, Marin and Lee, as they go on a road trip across America in the 1980s. Marin is played by Taylor Russell from the Escape Room films. Lee is played by everyone's favorite little handsome porcelain boy, Timothée Chalamet. And this is directed by Luca Guadagnino, the director of the Suspiria remake, and arguably the best film of 2017, Call Me By Your Name. Bones and All will be Luca's second horror film, and coincidentally, his second film starring a cannibal. Alright, of all the movies I just listed, my pick for my most anticipated horror film of the month is All Jacked Up and Full of Worms. It's always tough to just pick one movie. I love Luca and Timothée Chalamet. I'm beyond excited to see them team up again for a coming-of-age cannibal film. The menu looks like a super fucked up satire with a great cast. I've heard super positive early buzz, and one person even described it as Saw-esque. I'm also a big fan of Joko Anwar and loved Satan's Slaves. Same goes for Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. But really, how could I not pick All Jacked Up and Full of Worms? It is already the runaway favorite for best movie title of 2022. The synopsis described it as, quote, an odyssey of sex and violence. It is a love story centered around hallucinogenic worms, for God's sake. I honestly, genuinely do not know a single thing about this film. I don't know if it got festival buzz, I do not recognize the director. For all I know, this movie will be absolutely terrible. But whether it's good or bad, I do not care, because All Jacked Up and Full of Worms is a prime example of why I love independent horror. There is no chance a studio would ever make this. This is a concept I never would have come up with if you left me alone in a room for 25 years, 75 years, 175 years. It sounds so insane, and I'm beyond excited to witness the director's clearly unique creative vision for the film that will surely push the boundaries of good taste. Anyways, these are the new horror movies coming out in November. In the comments below, please tell me what your most anticipated movie of the month is. As well, please leave a comment letting me know if I forgot any horror releases. I try to be as comprehensive as possible, I read countless articles, but without fail, every month, one movie slips through my cracks. Also, if you made it this far in the video, I apologize for my voice. I am in the middle of a nasty cold, but I had to release this video before November 1st, so here we are. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, Horror Flicks with Nick. Twice a week I post horror reviews, commentaries, and short recommendations for horror movies you should watch on Netflix and other streaming services. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all back Thanks for watching. I'll see you all back in December for some Christmas horror.